The Raptors were in it, but it's the Chicago Bulls that take care of business. Welcome to Scotia Club inside the Scotiabank Arena. I'm Randy Urban, and this is Raptors Night Cap. Tonight, joined by Jack Armstrong, Leo Rautins, and Paul Jones. Jonesy, Raptors' resiliency on full display again tonight. How were they able to fight back in this one?
I think they turned up the pressure. Something as simple as just playing harder and looking after the basketball. The turnovers were really, really an issue tonight. I don't know about you guys, but just and the type of turnover too, like high risk passes. Careless ones. Yeah.
I think Chicago was plus 17 on points off turnovers going into the fourth. And then all of a sudden you see the Raptors pick up. Now the Raptors force some turnovers. And they took care of the ball for a little while, but then again, still some kind of risky passes that, and hey, you can understand it when you got, a lot of new faces, but you just got to, I think the most important thing, and you make the point, Joe, value possessions, right? You got to value possessions.
In these equal opportunity offenses where everybody touches the ball, everybody has to make sure they value the ball, Jack. And to me, sometimes it just seemed like, I don't even know if I want to say value the ball, just careless, a little loose with it, a little too familiar. Oh, let's try this. No. I think you got to be more careful with it.
No, I'm with you. And it's interesting. You look at a game again like tonight without Pascal Siakam. I think guys have to maybe try to do a little more than they're comfortable with, because you don't have a guy that attracts a lot of attention in terms of defenses loading up on him. And so guys are in unfamiliar positions where they got to be more of a playmaker than maybe they're used to, and they kind of play off of people rather than have to do it themselves. And they had a lot of late shot clock situations too, and that's when you turn it over. Give Chicago credit; they're a much improved team, and I thought their defense was pretty good.
And here's the thing I'd say about Chicago too: they've got veterans. Even a guy like Lonzo Ball, who's on his third team now, 4 or 5 years in. He's a young vet.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine, a young vet. Then you got the old man DeMar, who made some huge plays for them going down the stretch. Vucevic, steady, with the exception of a few turnovers at the end. but they've got an experienced team where guys at least understand what they have to do.
Well, you know what I like when I look at it? I mean, they just didn't bring in some players. They've got players that fit.
Yeah.
And there's an immediate chemistry with the guys they got, and there's something to be said for that. And the one thing, and we were just talking about it, people forget this about DeMar DeRozan. Okay, a lot of people criticize the playoffs and all that kind of stuff, but you got to get there. DeMar gives you 82 games.
Yep.
That dude is durable. He comes to play. He's not afraid of closing games. He's learned to make people around him better.
He wants that shot late.
Yeah, and you pick up, he's not a great defender, but you pick up that old man strength, so you become a little smarter. Yeah. So even your defense gets a little better when you're a bad defender.
You definitely know about that.
Yeah, no, I never got any better. But,
just got older.
Oh, listen to this guy. This guy.
That ain't right.
I'm sorry.
Hey, did I mention how good it is that none of you like sushi? I don't know if I mentioned that.
I'll say this with that on that point with DeMar too. Man, he made some tough shots going down the stretch, didn't he? Like, he made a fall away. Scotty Barnes, or it was OG. I mean, he had his fingers right up his nose contesting that thing, and DeMar, like, it was clean.
And he draws fouls. He got to the line 10 times, made all 10. And, when you're going to turn your team around, you need, I think the acquisitions of DeRozan, Caruso, and Ball have all made a difference. And even Vooch at the end of last season. They have a different looking team.
Yeah.
Their second unit guys guard. I think on the other side for Toronto, they had a lot of stretches where they're still struggling big time in their 5-on-5 game. If they can't turn you over, and if they can't run, they labor to score. Mm-hmm. And I think that, Jones, you mentioned, they play with a lot more urgency late. And some teams get more comfortable playing from behind. I think it's got to be habitual from the beginning of the game that you got to play with that desperation. And can you play with a lead?
Well, you're going to be going on the road soon, too.
Yeah.
That gets even harder.
And that's why I think you got to get some of these home games. And, as much as we talk about them struggling in the half court, when they picked up the urgency and intensity of their play in the half court, it got better. You know, the cuts were harder. The dribble handoffs were a little more crisp. All you need is that guy trailing you by half a body length or a step, and now you can get into a crease, and they've got to rotate, and you can pitch it. And so something as simple as playing harder, playing with more urgency, even though they have issues in their half court, but playing it with a little bit more verve and a little bit more zest would help out too.
You know, it's interesting too. They're really missing a lot of chippies around the basket.
Yeah, lots.
Really?
Yeah.
That's something that's got to get cleaned
That
up.
dug them a hole early.
Yeah, and now you could say to yourself, is it talent related or scheme related? I just think that they're not making them.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a lack of talent. You got to make the shots.
Goran missed some
I mean,
inside.
you did Dragic miss right at the rim. That guy's got talent.
Yeah,
He can play.
What about Fred? Obviously, career high in assists, but where do you see his game right now, Leo?
I think he's trying to put it all together. There's a lot of things that have to come together, right? So I'm not talking about him, this team. He's the leader.
Yeah.
So, hey, at 17 assists, he had a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers because I think he's trying to make sure everybody gets involved.
And he played 40 minutes.
He played 40 minutes, so his legs are getting heavy. He's passing up some shots he should be taking because he wants to get you involved. He's taking some shots maybe he shouldn't take because I need to get one now. So I think he's going through an adjustment period. And again, it's still a team that's not whole. It's still a team that's going to get better. So I'm not worried about anything with Fred. You know, Fred knows how to play. Fred's a winner. He's going to figure it out. But I think he's having some struggles trying to just, get everything together.
In his defense, and I'll say this, in baseball, home run hitters strike out.
Yep.
Like, he's got the ball a lot. You've got to expect that there will be, he's got to cut down on them, but you have to expect that there will be some turnovers.
Sure.
The way they play, the pace at which they play, the amount that he handles the ball, as you said, the 40 minutes, all of those things. He can't have 8 or 9 in a game.
Right.
But some of those are going to come.
Sure.
I mean, if he had, would it have been different if he'd had half of those tonight?
But
4.
even as a team, if you want to play the way they're talking about playing, you're going to be a higher turnover team, and you live with that, right?
Yep.
As long
Comes with
as,
the territory.
but as you say, you just can't get careless and sloppy with it. You're going to have some, right? But you just got to find. And again, that's not going to happen right away.
Yep.
You got to get that time together.
Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
This is a really hard way to play.
Yeah.
You know, for the Raptors, for them to be good, they have to win the turnover margin. They got to be that team that has you on your heels. And when you lose the turnover battle and you're stuck having to run half-court offense, that's not a formula that they're going to be successful with, particularly without Siakam in the half-court to attract a second defender and open things up for others. So they got to come out and understand that there's an urgency they got to play with. And that's really hard to do every night in this league when you're playing 3 games in 4 nights, back-to-backs. You got some young players that don't understand that. Like, man, I got to bring it at this level on this play, not here.
Jonesy, we talk about this a lot, right? The resiliency's there. The team is young. You got to learn how to win.
Yes.
How do they do that?
They'll pour over the video.
Yeah.
And they'll pick out, the constants that are leading to issues. The constants
Habits or bad habits.
Good habits, bad habits,
Yeah.
right? And it's one of the things that we always talk about. 2 seasons ago, the Raptors were number 1 in terms of winning percentage, plus or minus 3 a minute to go. Number 1 team winning percentage. They had 17 wins. That was like 3rd or 4th in the NBA. Last year they were at the bottom, like the very bottom. New team, kind of displaced all of that. And I think you're seeing some of that here now, that it's going to take a while to learn how to win. And you do that you make the mistakes and you go, you know what? I can't do that anymore. We can't do this anymore.
And here's something I was looking at there tonight. Like, there's a shot that a Gary Trent Jr. has to take. Like, hey, man, we need you to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, they're used to being that 4th, 5th guy in the pecking order in a starting lineup or in a lineup that's on the floor. Now, like, hey, man, the ball's finding you, 6 on the shot clock, do it. And it's a different role for these guys. And it's going to take some time for them to figure it out.
And to that point, Jack, even, for example, OG, right? When, you're ready to take that next step, right? So when you see things start slipping, give me the ball.
Yeah.
Give me the ball. This is a good time for you to get into it, right? You can't be passive in those times. And you also, got to be careful of your fouls because you've got to be on the floor.
Yeah.
So you have to be smart what you're doing there. So, but that's the learning curve, right? Everybody's kind of in a different role.
You have to hold it down until Pascal gets
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
And these next 2 games at home are huge,
Yeah.
because you look at the road trip after that. What is it, 11 or 14?
Something like that.
It's going to be very tough. So you got to get these next 2.
Well, how do you beat Indiana? Because they want wins. Every team wants a win now early in the season.
I mean, I think you saw what happened tonight. I don't think it has anything to do with Indiana. It has everything to do with Toronto.
Yeah.
You got to play your game. You got to protect the ball, and you got to make Indiana come in here and say, "Man, I don't like playing here."
Yeah. Leo, what do you have to do?
I agree. I mean, you got to be the more aggressive team. You got to take care of the basketball, be aggressive, force turnovers, and you got to score off turnovers. This team can't labor in the half court. Mm-hmm. Not yet. I mean, they're not ready to play half court.
Put them on their heels, Randy. Throw the first punch.
it's like a street fight. You're right, Jack. Throw
They
the
do in
first punch.
Boston.
And you saw late in the game, they had Chicago on their heels.
Yeah.
I mean, Lonzo Ball throws the ball into the backcourt and it turns into a dunk for Scotty Barnes because there's pressure. Or Anunoby comes from the weak side help, gets a steal. Now you got to run out. It's a 3-on-1. Those are hard to stop, but you do that from your defense.
Right.
Did you guys enjoy the food tonight?
I'm waiting.
I don't.
I feel
chicken wings. I'm waiting
bad.
until
Like,
Can we have some like cheese and crackers for me?
Jack
Okay.
needs cheese and
I
crackers.
I don't eat sushi.
We're gonna get.
We can do a little bit more sushi.
We're gonna get some
more
cheese for
wings.
you. We're gonna get some
I'm
cheese.
good
for
with
you.
the wings. Once we're off air, these are going down.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing this. As always, next game for the Raptors is Wednesday night.
You
Back
forgot
here.
your suit?
No, I didn't. I can't switch it up a little bit.
Just ask.
All right.
Well,
I gotta get a
he's
jacket.
a
I don't
young
have-
hip cat.
I don't have your budget.
Oh, is that?
I will get it. I will get it. All right, next game for the Raptors is Wednesday night. Wednesday night against the Indiana Pacers, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right back here at Scotiabank Arena. We'll see you then.
No game.